going through a bad time in your life right now. But what's never normal is making your kids pay for that. And I think that is something that we can all agree on.
When we follow and praise creators who openly do worse than us, it can create a false sense of adequacy. There's a downward comparison that gives a quick confidence boost. Well, at least my house isn't that messy, so I must be fine. But that comfort can stall growth because feeling better than someone else is not the same as doing well. There is an avoidance to self-reflection. If the bar is simply not as bad as the worst example, we avoid asking, what can I improve? Where can I improve? It becomes easy to rationalize unhealthy patterns, whether it's nutrition, emotional availability, or basic household care, when we see thousands and thousands, hundreds of people enabling and comforting the very people who are in fact doing the worst. I genuinely want people to start rethinking the bar. The goal shouldn't be to beat the lowest common denominator. It should be to give to our kids and ourselves the healthiest environment we can reasonably manage. Being human and imperfect is normal, but lowering the bar until anything counts as good enough isn't self-care, it's self-sabotage. Kids don't benefit from us aiming for the bare minimum. They benefit when we practice self-compassion while still reaching for something healthier and more stable. Grace and accountability can and should exist together.
Seriously. And the fact that so many of you obviously don't know what a healthy meal is beyond comprehension. Because most of the things I cook are normal meals that normal people make. But you have a problem with it because I'm fat. But regardless, if you want to try Mochi Health out for yourself and lose weight like I'm planning on doing, then you can click the Beacons link in my bio, and right at the top is a link for Mochi, and you can see if you qualify as well. You just have to talk to a board certified doctor. They have doctors and nutritionists on site for affordable prices.
Millions of people at once. Creators become a slave to perception and do things like constantly looking themselves up on YouTube, Reddit, Twitter to surveil what people are saying about them. Mr. Beast is known for doing this, even reaching out to several creators who have made videos about him in the past. I only use him as an example because he's the biggest creator I know that does this, but he's far from the only one. Some creators end up becoming a puppet of what they think their audience wants from them instead of making judgments based on their own character and morals. Most people don't like upsetting people, especially the people who support them. I get that. But it feels like they lose themselves. It feels like the focus becomes making decisions based on what will grow their brand and career, which is understandable, but to a certain degree becomes a very slippery slope when you start to put forth a persona that isn't actually you. Yourself and your brand become more and more separated, and you become a shell of what you once were if you're not careful. It's important to surround yourself with people who ground you. Maybe rethink moving to LA. And I'm not trying to shit on everyone that lives in LA. I just think some people get these really big ideas about LA and then gravitate towards there as if it's a status symbol. And really think about the type of people you want to surround yourself with. There's a lot of yes men out there with bad intentions. Because if there's anything I've learned in this industry so far, it's that who you surround yourself with is very telling of who you are. And this mirrors real life too. Like, have you ever had that one friend who hangs around terrible people and you're wondering why and it doesn't make any sense to you because they're super nice, but then you slowly realize that your friend is kinda like those people and you stop hanging out with them? For example, the moment someone proudly associates themselves with shitty people on the internet, but you're thinking the one creator you like isn't like that, they might be. That is, if they don't separate themselves from the bad egg after learning who they really are. Like how I started this video, we've all had friends or acquaintances who we thought were one way, but turned out shitty. And that doesn't feel great. Just because this is the biggest example, I think we should have all rethunk Mr. Beast's philanthropic character after he started proudly associating and hanging out with and becoming best friends with Logan Paul, known scammer. So let's use Cody Ko as a punching bag example. I definitely meant example. The more I learn about people in this industry as I grow on this platform, the worse it gets. Cody Ko was a beloved Vine to YouTube star that gained popularity from his That's Cringe comedy reaction videos he would do with his friend. I say was, he's not dead, he's just a freak, and went radio silent after getting called out for sleeping with a minor after he was well into his 20s. Which is something any innocent person would do, especially go DJing in Las Vegas. That's also a normal reaction. But this shocked the community because he'd always make videos dunking on misogynists and like people who most would say deserved it. But he made it lighthearted, funny, and entertaining.
The community's silence on this has been so staggering that people are now saying that Commentary YouTube is a boys' club, aka a male-dominated space that mistreats women while enabling and protecting men. And the truth is, Cody, whether you're guilty or not, you are being enabled to ignore this and protected from having to respond as an act of misogyny towards Tana Mongeau. We both know that on our side of Commentary YouTube, any man can easily elevate himself by dunking on misogynists in his content and espousing a generally feminist viewpoint. But if that viewpoint turns to silence, the moment a situation is no longer cut and dry, then that viewpoint was a brand strategy, not a belief.
It was never only Cody Ko, and it will not stop at Cody Ko. Faux feminism makes you look good without doing any of the work, and I get it, we don't always need like an in-depth analysis on like the systematic oppression of women and misogyny. I totally get it. I like watching lighthearted shit. I don't always need some like systematic analysis, but like it is true that we can't ignore that you do benefit from having this look of being someone who stands up for women and loves women when you're actually not practicing any of that behind the scenes. And the people who grandstand about it the most can sometimes be the most shady about how they actually treat the women in their lives, or their feminism is reserved for women they don't want to fuck. If your respect for a woman changes based on whether or not you'd like to bone them, don't even pretend to care about women on the level you present to your audience. To be honest, it's just fucking annoying. And now that there are actually women in the space, we can now hold douchebags like Cody Ko accountable and not let them back in. Going back to content that dunks on other people, and mostly if you make an entire career off of criticizing other people, for a long time, this type of reactionary cringe content became what's known as the commentary genre on YouTube. In 2016, the roster looked like the cast of a Big Bang Theory spinoff. Eventually, less edgy commentators, video essayists, movie and TV show reviews, and even women made their way into the genre. It became this all-encompassing, personality-driven genre for someone who talks about stuff. And this is something the community won't tell you, but you learn by doing. Criticizing other people on the internet is tricky if you care about the content you make. There's a benefit to it. People love hearing drama about some random person they don't care about. Tale as old as time itself. It's relatively easy to make, and using someone else's name recognition can boost your channel. One of the first YouTubers I collaborated with, Kunken Dassner, told me, "I try to imagine the person I'm criticizing watching my video. I don't say anything I wouldn't feel comfortable saying to their face. Cody Ko, you're a weird freak." I'm paraphrasing, of course, I wasn't taking notes at the time, but that's a really good tidbit of advice that stuck with me. Did I always follow it as much as I should have? No. But if you've been a long-time viewer, you might have noticed that I don't spend as much time criticizing or reacting to cringe-type content anymore. It's never been a main focus on my channel anyway, but I've really come to dislike criticizing someone for the sake of criticizing someone, or criticizing someone for very lackluster reasons. And it's still fun to consume or even create content that makes lighthearted fun at stuff. Like, that's not the problem here. I'm talking about some of the meaner stuff. But for me, if I do criticize people, and if I do criticize others, I make sure that it's as fair as I can be, or it lends itself to a bigger discussion of something I want to talk about. And I keep things pretty tame in my opinion. But have you noticed that the biggest commentary channels don't even do the traditional commentary that got them popular many years ago anymore? Like, what even is the genre of commentary at this point? Like, what does that even mean?
No, I love listening to your unfiltered thoughts about trending topics sometimes, for sure, but Video essay?
So now you're the word police.
It's not a video essay.
So what is a video essay then?
Well, I'd say it's a video structured like an essay, presents an argument and supports it with evidence, has a conclusion that sums up the assertions that were made in the body of the essay.
What part of situation is crazy don't you understand?
I'm not being an elitist asshole.
Yeah, you're a little bit.
I just care about accurate descriptions of content categories.
So what makes a video essay different from a commentary video?
I think video essays can be commentary videos, but not all commentary videos can be video essays.
You're running out of bullshit.
Words have meaning.
Their content has evolved, doing more deep dives, video essays, trying shit, and same with me, and that's for a few reasons. I can't speak for everyone, but spending your time looking at negative shit all the time makes you jaded and depressed. And some of you people are doing that shit without even getting paid for it, so it's simply not fun or creatively fulfilling for me. It can attract an audience that is highly vindictive and quick to criticize any shortcomings you may have, which you do have because you're human. Be Better on TikTok is a great example of someone making a career off videos called The Rise and Fall of whatever celebrity and vehemently shitting on any product they purchased, backfiring in the most predictable way. He would start every video flaunting his master's degree before going on to explain the marketing flops of celebrities and products. Until he made a video about something that he admitted in his apology that he knew nothing about. That really hurt his credibility. People also, unsurprisingly, started digging into Be Better's own product line of $80 jars of honey infused with herbs that are not scientifically proven to do any of the things that they claim, like uplifting my spirit. Girl, the day I spend $80 for a jar of honey is going to crush my spirit. But people started to recontextualize his entire persona and not give him the sort of grace that he never gave anyone else. Back to my reasons. Just because you have flaws and make mistakes doesn't mean you can't criticize others. But the balance has been way off. Commentary has always skewed negatively. But people are so mean to other people who, like, maybe don't deserve it. Like, making fun of someone for just being cringe to a level that goes beyond, like, lighthearted poking fun. I feel like there's a line that most people can kind of clock. Or sometimes people are just sending hate mobs to someone they don't like because you just don't like them. What the fuck? You just don't like their vibe, so I'm just like sending a hate mob. That doesn't make any sense. You begin to ask yourself, is this actually meaningful commentary? What am I getting out of watching or creating this? I feel like a creator really sets the tone in their video for the type of community you'll see, like, in the comments. Like, Be Better. The lesson is, if you're going to make an entire career off of being so harsh, expect it back. If you're level-headed and fair and you give people grace, people will probably return it to you. It's kind of like you're walking around Valentine as Arthur Morgan and you just keep spamming circle. Some people just keep doing that. Some people some people live their life on YouTube just pressing circle, and then they're surprised when someone punches them back. Not to mention, recently there's been huge waves of people harassing creators for not talking about certain internet drama quickly enough, which perpetuates rushing out videos that don't have all the information yet because the drama happened 3 hours ago. Like, the drama hasn't even been completed. I'm just saying that Jay Aubrey operates on a different level of time and research. Also, now in general, it feels like the consequences of being a critic to the wrong person now involves getting doxxed and harassed in real life by some of the most toxic communities on the internet.
Just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons. I was morally grandstanding and acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on. And I'm not. It's also indoctrinated a lot of people into thinking that this is an okay way to behave. I've just always had this dumb philosophy that I'm not responsible for, my audience and how they behave beyond what content I put out. And that's stupid. And it's led to a lot of hate and a lot of bad outcomes. I guess if you want to, look out for people who are red flags, it's definitely people who had my mentality that say, I'm not responsible for what my audience does.
Everyone is so on edge, people feel like it's not worth it. I mean, I have a life outside of internet drama. I'd rather choose to make videos on internet discussions, movies, and music. It just feels like the genre has been retaken over by so much negativity than it used to. It's starting to smell like 2016 in here. I don't really remember what the point of this section was. As I grew this channel on YouTube, I loved, I laughed, I cried, I anger, I happy. I've met the best people ever, and I've met some weirdos. I hope this video let you in just a little bit more behind the scenes with me through my YouTube journey. It's been really cool to kind of infiltrate the industry and experience things and meet people I never thought I would. So now here's your homework assignment. What do you think about the negativity on YouTube? Has it gotten worse? Has it actually improved? Has it been exactly the same? Please explain your answer in 2 or more sentences, and don't forget to reply to someone else's comment for extra credit. This is a class discussion board, after all. Anyway, this is not that serious, and maybe it's not that deep. Don't forget to subscribe if you made it to the end. 1 sub equals 1 dub in Fortnite. Am I gonna keep making videos with titles called like the worst movie ever? Yeah, it's kind of fun. I'm gonna keep doing that, because it's funny.
Are you in need of background noise while you draw your OCs? Well, I've got you covered. Here is 30+ minutes of art commentary. From AI art debates to problematic art styles, we're discussing it all. Grab your pencils, grab your drawing tablets, because it's time to begin. Quick side note, the characters you'll see in the background are my OCs. They are hosts of an edutainment show led by a suspiciously eccentric show creator, Martha. If you want to see more of them, follow my Instagram @StarryGazer. Now, on to the commentary. Let's start with a loaded topic, stealing art styles. When I talk about stealing art styles, I imagine most of you either really agree or really disagree that this is even a thing, but I think the true answer lies somewhere in the middle. First, let's define what it means to steal an art style. Stealing an art style means heavily referencing a certain artist's style, to the point where people may mistake your art for the original creator. It often also involves tracing their art, which we'll get into later. Typically, big creators within the community deal with stolen art styles, such as the drama with Puririca telling people to stop stealing / heavily referencing their style. Let's start with the argument that art style theft isn't real. When people claim that art style theft isn't a thing, they typically reference the quote, "Good artists copy, great artists steal" by Picasso. Art styles are made by merging together everything that's ever inspired us, after all. Believing that you can steal an art style contradicts the very process of how art styles are made. Where this argument falters is in a misunderstanding of that process though. Yes, to make an art style, you have to reference other artists, but the issue lies in the amount of artists. If you reference 5 different artists and use that to create a style, you'll get something completely unique. People may be able to see a few spots of inspiration, but overall, it looks like it's your own thing. Art style theft comes in when you instead only draw from one inspiration. You copy the way they draw the eyes, the face, the proportions, the color themes, the clothing design, to the point where your art and their art are indistinguishable. You've no longer made your own style. You've made the Temu version of someone else's style. The issue of referencing too heavily usually affects beginners and young artists, as they find their art idols and strive to be as skilled as them, so much that they resort to copying them. In my opinion at least, most art theft isn't done out of malintent or to deceive others. It's done out of admiration and envy. Thing is, intention doesn't negate hurt. When you've practiced and studied until you finally make an art style that you're proud of, something that is uniquely your own, referencing all the media and artists that inspired you throughout your journey, seeing someone come in and try to heavily replicate that feels off. Like, they technically haven't stolen any art from you directly, but it still doesn't feel right. Not all big artists feel this way, of course. Some find it admirable or remember their early days in art, heavily referencing their own favorite artists. Some may not even speak on their discomfort with their art style being heavily referenced, as it may be seen as sending hate to smaller creators. I think artists are valid to put up boundaries in their bios, asking people not to heavily reference their art, as long as they don't put small creators doing the referencing on blast. Art style theft may be a somewhat real thing, but I also don't think that gives people the right to go around accusing others of stealing art styles either. Like I said before, Sometimes this comes from beginners/young artists who are new to the art community and don't know that it's a taboo. There's no need to harass or insult them for making that mistake. If you really feel that their referencing is egregious, like to the point of tracing other artists' work, light constructive criticism is all you gotta give. Some may accuse artists who happen to have similar art styles of copying, even though that wasn't their intention. Some people just have similar styles or draw from the same inspirations. Again, it's typically better to just scroll past if you feel someone is copying someone else's style and keep supporting the original artist. To conclude, art style theft is a somewhat real thing. It's not right to heavily reference/trace other artists' work, but it's also not an issue worth harassing small beginner artists over. I'm actually curious if you guys agree or disagree that art style theft is a thing. This topic is quite divided. Let me know your own thoughts in the comments and I'll check them out. That applies for any of these opinions actually. If you have something to add to the conversation, comment it and we'll discuss. If you're doing commissions, you should be familiar with how to draw different body types and colors. To start, this opinion is not a morality thing. I don't want it to be misinterpreted as that. The subjects of your drawings depend both on your own bias in what you find appealing and on the people you see around you, both in real life and online. My friend group has a mix of people of different races, genders, and sizes, so my characters also vary in those aspects. If you're somewhere where you're exposed to a certain type of person, then that's gonna carry through to your drawings. I disagree with people who claim artists that let these biases slip into their work are racist, fatphobic, etc. Unless they're doing something egregious like making a character 10 shades lighter, you can give them the benefit of the doubt. Beginners are going to make mistakes. Even experienced people can slip up. All that's needed is some constructive criticism. When I say you should be familiar with drawing different races and body types, I mean having some basic knowledge is useful. Skin color is already done for you. There are many pre-made palettes online, so in my opinion, there's not much of an excuse there. When it gets to more detailed styles, it may take more practice as rendering darker tones is different to lighter tones. Personally, I tried drawing my friend recently and it struggled with making the cheeks a warmer color without it looking like makeup. I watched a tutorial and realized my mistake was using red tones on the cheeks instead of orange tones. To draw different hair textures, look at references of real people, but also look at people with similar styles to yours and see how they stylize hair. One of my characters, Sage, has loose curly hair. I really struggle with drawing this hair texture as I'm afraid to draw it too detailed or too stylized. To combat this, I searched up loose curly hair drawings on Pinterest and saved photos of characters with similar hair textures to hers. Using those stylized examples and real-life images, I can now better draw her hair in my style. With body and anatomy, this may take more practice, but it is possible. Struggling with this is understandable because you have to learn how the body holds weight. It's similar to how clothes are the hardest thing for most beginners to draw. I know we've all struggled with not knowing where to draw the folds and creases. Similarly with the body, a bigger body folds and wrinkles in different ways to a smaller one. When your commission terms state that you can draw humans, it's a bit disappointing when those humans are limited to small, fair-skinned ones. Mixing it up and expanding your skills helps you reach a broader audience. Your current customers would also be more satisfied with your work because their OCs are more accurately drawn. Now, this opinion doesn't apply to recreational art because that art is made just for you. You're free to draw your biases, but it's still good to diversify. A few times, I've seen some artists with OCs that look so similar that I struggle to tell them apart. It's hard to get engaged in a story when I keep confusing the blonde blue-eyed guy with the blonde green-eyed guy. Your character designs will greatly improve if they're all recognizably different. Speaking of diversity, drawing diverse characters isn't forced representation. There was a drama on TikTok a while back when people bullied this artist for making human designs of My Little Pony characters that were quote-unquote too diverse. There were disabled characters, plus-size characters, characters with dwarfism, etc. I guess the community saw it as too try-hard. I think it's obvious that the point of the designs was to make the characters represent a bunch of underrepresented groups though. I don't know why people went so crazy over it. This forced representation point is applied to any media that doesn't have a cast of all fair-skinned small characters. For example, how mad people were at Turning Red. The movie took place in Toronto, a place known for having a mix of races and ethnicities, but somehow people were shocked to see that represented. I honestly have mixed feelings about the word representation as a whole, because sometimes it feels like minorities and people of color are just a box to check, not characters that happen to be a woman or Asian or plus size, etc. Sometimes it actually does feel like pandering with no substance. That's why I dislike the recent live actions that have been coming out. Instead of giving us our own stories, you replace characters with actors of color who you know are gonna get torn apart online, like what happened with the Snow White actress Rachel Zegler and Halle Bailey as the Little Mermaid. Now for the most current discussion. AI art isn't real art. I feel like I'd be preaching to the choir if I really got into this, but I couldn't make an art commentary video without mentioning AI at some point. I could offer my own perspective as an artist in a tech field. In grade 12, I was debating between getting an art degree or a computer science degree, and I decided to play for the enemy. I'm sorry. I will repent for my sins. But being for real, sometimes I do see people using AI art on some assignments and it just makes me cringe a little bit. I don't expect them to know why AI art is bad or to even care actually, so I just don't mention it. It's just a little disappointing, you know? It's hard to explain why generative AI is bad to someone who doesn't have any artistic or creative interests. They don't know the time and passion you put into your work and how insulting and scummy it is to have a machine regurgitate it. I feel like at the very least, they should be able to understand the copyright violations. I'm surprised those big companies like Disney haven't sued people over it yet. I assume it's because they also plan to use AI to make their movies. I know there's been AI spotted in some Disney properties already, like the show Secret Invasions was accused of using AI art in the intro sequence. I think companies are just testing the waters, slowly introducing it and seeing how the public reacts. Guys, can we have another strike because this is actually getting out of hand now. Another point related to AI, calling current AI art poor quality isn't actually an own. AI is rapidly advancing. I even saw my younger cousin watching some AI cartoons and the videos weren't even that warped. Even I find myself getting fooled by AI art recently. They no longer all have that airbrushed, uncanny, dream-like look to them or that anime style. They're starting to pass as work made by real artists. The more the generators are used, the better they'll get, and they're being used a lot. I feel like there are better AI criticisms that we can use rather than just saying that AI art looks bad. Talk about how it uses stolen, copyrighted artwork, or its effect on the environment, or how it's being used to take jobs, or how it's going to lead to a general lack of quality media if everything we see is regurgitated from something from the past. Not everyone cares about the quality of art, but they may care about issues that would directly affect them. Cleaning up AI art doesn't make it real art. I've seen a few dramas where artists are generating an AI image then cleaning it up to make it look like their own. It's honestly kind of embarrassing. Just draw yourself at that point. I think some people are too afraid to be bad at drawing that they'd rather take the cheap way out and have a computer do it for them. Like, they don't realize that this is the journey that every single artist prior to AI had to go through. No one is born good at art. The great artists don't post their flop pieces. It's okay to be bad at it at first. If you actually draw the stuff yourself, you'll get better. I think even the people who clean up AI art have to at least feel a bit of shallowness in their quote-unquote work. They didn't make it. They just gave something sloppy a little polish. I feel bad for the artists who now feel forced to take jobs where they have to clean up AI images. You go to school for 4 years just to not be able to draw anything. You're instead part of the system. It's just sad. This issue also brings up another point about people thinking that artists are pretentious or elitist for thinking AI art isn't real art. It's funny because art has to be one of the most accessible hobbies out there. All you need are a few dollars to buy a pencil and paper and you can start creating. Don't know how to draw? Well, there are hundreds of tutorials posted for free on YouTube. Want more professional advice? Take an online class or an in-person one near you. Don't know how to improve? Make some art friends and have them critique your work. The art community is so welcoming and it's built on giving each other free resources and advice. There's a stereotype of the starving artist for a reason. Our work is often devalued, so we know that we have to help each other out so we can all succeed. Artists aren't being pretentious or elitist when they say AI art isn't real art, because it's not real art. It's stolen work mushed together by a computer. There's no person who created it, only a prompter. Overall, I think people just need to try a little more. They're seeing that something they thought was easy actually takes a lot of work and learning, and instead of taking on the challenge, they take the easy way out. It's rewarding when you finally feel satisfied with the art you're creating, when you can finally carry out the visions that kid you dreamed of. Feeling demotivated, then looking back at your progress and seeing how far you've come. You miss out on the joy of creating art if you refuse to create art. Hard pivot, it's NSFW time. Minors shouldn't be posting suggestive /NSFW art. At least in Canada and America, it's illegal to even be looking at that stuff when you're below 18. Still, there's been controversies about minors posting art that's too suggestive. I remember there was this artist that I temporarily followed. They're in their mid to late teens, I believe. Suddenly, I see them posting art that feels kind of fetishy, suggestive. It just made me very uncomfortable, so I instantly unfollowed. That could be its own point too. Please put a warning in your bio if you draw suggestive artwork. It's kind of a jump scare to follow an artist because of one safe for work artwork you see, then start getting fetish art on your feed with no warning. Tangent aside, posting stuff like that when you're underage puts you in a vulnerable situation. I'll elaborate on this more in the next point. If you want to make that kind of art, just keep it to yourself. Most times, there's not much wrong with drawing NSFW stuff. It's when you expose it to others where you risk getting in trouble. You don't have to show people the freaky things you make. Just wait till you're of age and you can freely show it without putting yourself or others at risk. Adding on to that point, minors shouldn't be in NSFW spaces. You're putting the other adults in that space at risk. If an adult unknowingly sends a minor NSFW art, the adult can still get in legal trouble. You also risk getting taken advantage of by an adult. Even if you lie about your age.
I don't hear from you anymore. And it's like, these are vulture comments. So this is kind of unserious in general, but this is exactly how people were being at people's comment sections on Reddit, TikTok, etc. And it's just like so loud now because I feel like this kind of thing did not used to get upvoted. Or I shouldn't say I feel like, I'm using couching language. I was there. This kind of thing did not used to get pushed to the top of everybody's comment feeds. These were fringe opinions that were obviously wrong, held by people whose like moral superiority is not justifiable and is not rooted in reality. And somehow that unreality has become the dominant voice in comment sections. And one thing that I want to make clear, here's some nuance for you. It's not everybody on Reddit, obviously. Highly upvoted comment saying this is backlash from people who Googled Bridget Bardot politics 5 seconds ago. But yeah, the people I'm talking about are not just in the vulture comments. They're not just on Reddit or TikTok. They're in my audience. Now, let me tell you this. As I said, I've been grinding a while myself. It is not the majority of my audience. I'm not making a video like, oh my gosh, I hate the average D'Angelo viewer. I don't hate anybody, okay? But I grew a lot in 2024, okay? I was posting videos, honestly, for many, many strangers, which is always part of the job. But when that crowd of strangers, the vocal minority is chock full of the worst people you know commenting on videos, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that I had a mini disaster in 2024. I keep wanting to say last year because 2024 feels like last year to me, but unfortunately the inexorable march of time slows for no man. I made a video about Starbucks. Did some of y'all just have flashbacks? Yep, that's me. Okay, yeah, if you're new, you're like, whoa, is that real? Yeah. It was real hair. It was on my head every day. My video was about fast food in general. I talked about Burger King, Subway, just fast food prices going up and like surge pricing and all kinds of things people were doing and how that was leading to fast food's decline. This was also coinciding with a boycott against Starbucks, multiple boycotts actually, but a pretty major one was people were boycotting Starbucks in the name of solidarity with people in Palestine. Infamously in this video, because I was just talking about fast food prices, I did not include the sentence, and also there is a boycott which is affecting Starbucks' bottom line. In retrospect, that wasn't a good idea. And that is why, you can see the hair is real now, there's no hat. I had to make an update video in which I said, I obviously don't support genocide, ethnic cleansing. I'm not secretly a Zionist. I'm not doing deep cover work for Starbucks. I just thought it would actually, I thought what would come across badly is if I was like, oh, and also people are boycotting because of this really, really serious issue. But that's just like a talking point in a video where I'm making all these jokes and dunking on all these fast food companies. But if people just wanted to hear my general opinions, yes, it's that I'm in support of people first. I don't do politics first. I do people first, meaning the politics come later. Therefore, I say people should not be displaced from their homes. Therefore, I'm completely against Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people. Okay. And it's interesting to think that if I had included that at the time, I would not have dealt with the massive backlash I got, because it was pretty massive. People were calling me a genocide supporter. You know what I mean? Just saying all these things about me that they're not rooted in reality. And they're also not warranted from my decision. You know what I mean? Disagreeing with my choice to not include that information in the video is fine. Just as I said, it's totally okay to be like, hey, I think these celebrities should have done Google a little harder. You're free to criticize me. Always, you know? I think what was just crazy is like, that was my first time being called a horrible human being, because I made what was ultimately a mistake in communication. And here's the thing, my update video about it was only 2 minutes long. I got in, said what I had to say, and got out. I only spent 2 minutes talking about this online, but I thought about it every single minute of what felt like every single minute of every single day for over a year. It just kept living in my head, rent free, as they say. I was like, how could I have done that? How could I have done something so stupid? That was the main thing that was just in my head the whole time, was like refusing to believe that I could be that bad at making videos. There's like saying something that people misinterpret, and then there's like, through a video I uploaded, I've got people in here calling me a Zionist. And I did not want to spend any time online feeling sorry for myself. That's why that's the only video where I addressed it. I did not keep bringing it up. I did not make it a thing. I think that would have been horrible. Ultimately, your sympathies should be with the people who are undergoing this displacement. But multiple things can be true. I was still traumatized just because it was like a completely separate, absolutely lesser, you know, thing than is going on in other places where things actually matter, because nothing on YouTube really matters. I still personally and privately dealt with just feeling very traumatized from the reaction to the video I posted, because for a split second I almost believed it. I think that's a really scary thing that people don't talk about online, is if you have hundreds of people saying something, you almost start believing like, oh, I guess I am a terrible person, and I've now revealed that. And all the work that I did was like disappointing. It ended in disappointment now that people know the truth about me. I got so upset, and I'm upset now still thinking about it, but like, it's just because it's important to me. It's not because I feel sorry for myself. It's not because I'm like, oh, no one should ever say anything mean to me on the internet. I put my name all over these videos, okay? D'Angelo is on my birth certificate. D'Angelo Wallace is who I am. I've never just tried to be, I guess, a hateful person. And so I had to honestly hide a massive portion of my reaction to that video. That's why that video is only 2 minutes long. All the parts where it was about me, I sat with privately. I didn't want to give the impression that something like, you know, genocide. I was like, oh, well, this is about me now. And so I'm going to throw a tantrum and spend a lot of time calling the people who were calling me out, because I knew that that was going to come across wrong. But now that some time has passed, and I don't feel like it's disrespectful for me to say this in any way, and most importantly, now that I've sat with my opinion to make sure that I'm right, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. A lot of the people calling me out were stupid, okay? It was just an incredibly stupid reaction to something that wasn't that big of a deal. You know, that's obviously not a phrase I could have used immediately after getting called a genocide supporter. Now that some time has passed, I would like to kind of give you the other part of my reaction. I hated every minute of that. I hated how it was so unbalanced because in the time that everybody is saying all these things, I can't be in the comments section talking about, well, no, actually, that's not what I meant. And hey, this isn't consistent with any time I've ever talked about any sort of political issue. And did you watch the video? That was another thing too. I realized that the vast majority of people who were criticizing me hadn't watched the video. Or if they did, they watched it in some sort of honestly impressive way where they were only perceiving it in 30-second chunks. And I noticed this sort of 30-second approach to information